throw away the titles, throw away the MVPs, throw away all the individual and team awards that should be an important factor in determining who the greatest player of all time is. Certain players are pleading and begging that we stop looking at those stats to evaluate their greatness. So let's play their little game. For once, we're not going to talk about who the greatest is. Instead, we're going to look at who the best player of all time is. Dare I say, the GOAT. There's a difference between the two acronyms. For me, the greatest is defined by looking at the total picture. I'm taking into account the number of MVPs you won, the number of titles you won, the team success, the numbers you've recorded, things of that nature. It's supposed to be less subjective. Depending on your criteria, you can argue that Bill Russell was a greater player than Kobe Bryant. But determining who was the better player is different. This is more subjective, and people tend to rely more on the eye test. There's more importance placed on their skill set. Were there any weaknesses to your game? Were there 100 different ways you could score? Could you handle the ball like a magician? You get the picture. It's all about your individual greatness. It's what many fans and even players nowadays are putting more importance on. Even if we put the handicap on, Michael Jordan will still be considered the GOAT and the BOAT. It's not just the hundreds of testimonies out there where his contemporaries have mentioned that he had zero weaknesses in his game. It's not just the fact that he'll pull out a never before seen move one game and then top it off the next game. This has to be deeper than that. I can't just say that Jason Williams was a better player than John Stockton because his passes were flashier, aka he had a deeper bag. Prove your greatness by exerting your dominance over and over and over again. Can you do something I've never seen before, not with just one move, but throughout an entire game? We're talking record-breaking performances. This is what puts Michael Jordan on a level above everyone else. Get ready to be bombarded with records. Let's go to 1987 when the Chicago Bulls were playing the Detroit Pistons. Led by Isaiah Thomas, the Pistons finished with 52 wins. They had the 5th best defensive rating in the league. But Jordan torched them with 61 points on 56% shooting, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, and 3 blocks. Did you know that he's the only player to record over 60 points, 3 steals, and 3 blocks in a game? But we're talking about having the complete package. Michael could do it all on both ends of the floor. But that might not have been the best example. 2 weeks before that game, he did something extraordinary against the Philadelphia 76ers. He recorded 56 points on 69% shooting, 8 steals, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists. That makes him the only player to post over 50 points and 8 steals in a game. What makes this even more impressive is that he did it again in the following season. This time, the Boston Celtics were victims of this historic performance. Against Larry Bird and company, he had 52 points on 55% shooting, along with 9 steals, 3 rebounds, 2 blocks, and 2 steals. It's no wonder that he won the scoring title and Defensive Player of the Year award in the same season. On top of that, there have been 10 times that a player has posted over 40 points and 8 steals in a game. Michael has done it 6 times. The other 4 players who have accomplished it have only done it once in their careers. His next record-breaking performance came in 1987 against the Cavaliers. He had the amazing stat line of 43 points on 55% shooting, 8 steals, 5 blocks, 6 assists, and 4 rebounds. He is only one of 2 players to post over 40 points, 8 steals, and 5 blocks. It should come as no surprise that Hakeem Olajuwon was also able to post those numbers. But here's something that you would never expect a shooting guard to accomplish. Early in the 1986-87 season, the Bulls visited the Seattle Supersonics. They were a top 5 offensive team, but Jordan had 40 points on 43% shooting, 6 blocks, 3 steals, 9 rebounds, and 3 assists. He is the only guard in history to post over 40 points and 6 blocks. Julius Erving is the only non-power forward/center to accomplish this. Could you believe that Michael was snubbed for being an All-NBA defender that season. Who knows what the league voters were smoking? But I'm sure you're thinking, we get it. Michael was incredible on both sides of the ball. But we must emphasize how great he was in every aspect of the game. For example, he is only one of 6 players to record 3 or more 40-point triple-doubles in a single season. He joins the company of Oscar Robertson, Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Luka Doncic, and Nikola Jokic. But there is one stat that really highlights how he can impact a game in every facet. That is game score. For those who don't know, the game score formula depends on factors such as points scored, field goals, free throws, assists, steals, blocks, and rebounds. At the same time, losing possession with a turnover or causing fouls results in a reduction of the game score. Each component has a weightage factor associated with it. A score of 10 is considered an average performance, whereas a score of 40 or higher is extraordinary. Unfortunately, this stat only goes as far back as the 1977-78 season, so this only applies to the modern NBA. The player with the highest game score in league history is Michael Jordan. This occurred in his legendary performance against the Cleveland Cavaliers in 1990. He posted 69 points on 62% shooting, 18 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 steals, and 1 block. He had a game score of 64.6. But ladies and gentlemen, that's not all. He has the most appearances in the top 50 highest game scores for the regular season. Just for comparison, LeBron James is in the top 50 for a grand total of 1 time. Are you sure you don't want us to count rings, buddy? As you've noticed, we've only touched the regular season. If we're talking the greatest regular season performers, Wilt Chamberlain would easily take that crown. But what separates him from everyone else is that he was even more dominant when it mattered the most. It is much tougher to impose your will in the playoffs. Some of the most skilled players in the game has had a tough time finding success in the postseason. That, of course, doesn't apply to Jordan. Staying with the game score stat, Michael has the most appearances in the top 50 in playoff history. He has 6 appearances, which includes 2 in the top 10. LeBron is in second place with 5 appearances. It should come as no surprise he has so many appearances in the top 50 with all the legendary performances he's had in the playoffs. It all starts with the greatest scoring game in playoff history. He scored 63 points on 54% shooting against the Celtics in the 1986 playoffs. We can safely say that this was not a fluke. If we look at the top 15 highest scoring games in the playoffs, he has 6 total appearances. He's had 8 games where he scored over 50 points. That's the most in history. Wilt Chamberlain is second with 4 such games. He has 38 40-point games in the playoffs, which is also the most in history. There are only 2 other players who's had at least 20 such games. That's LeBron James with 29 and Jerry West with 20. But what makes Michael so legendary isn't the fact that he scored as much as he did. Some make the ridiculous claim that anyone could if they took as many shots as he did. But Jordan was shooting as much as he did because no one could stop him. That's why he's the best player we've ever seen. It didn't matter how high the defensive intensity was or how much attention he was receiving from the opposing team. He was going to make the shot much more than he missed. For example, in all 8 games that he scored over 50 points, he shot over 50% every single time. In fact, there were 3 games where he shot over 60%. Only Allen Iverson has been able to be that efficient while scoring over 50 points multiple times. He's done it twice. That's the thing with Michael. When he's hot, he can keep it going for games at a time. Did you know that he's the only player to score 50 points in back-to-back playoff games? He did it in 1988 against the Cavaliers. For many players, scoring 40 points is considered an impressive accomplishment. It's rare for a player to come back and score over 40 points in the same series. But to do it 3 times to the same team in the same series, that's just a whole other level. I'm not breaking any news when I say that no one has done it as many times as Michael Jordan. He's done it 5 times. he's only one of 3 players to do it multiple times. Jerry West did it twice in his career, and LeBron has done it 4 times. That is a good transition to the next record he holds. There have been 9 times that players average over 40 points per game for a playoff series. Jordan has done it 5 times. He has the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th highest averages in league history. Each time, he averaged over 50% from the field. Shout out to Jerry West, who was first on that list. He averaged 46.3 points per game in the 1965 playoffs against the Baltimore Bullets. But scoring wasn't the only thing he did in those series. For example, check out his averages against the Sixers in the 1990 second round series. He averaged 43 points, 7.4 assists, 6.6 rebounds, 4 steals, and 1.2 blocks per game. Or how about this series against the Phoenix Suns, in the finals of all places? 41 points, 8.5 rebounds, and 6.3 assists per game. That is another reason why so many people say he was the best basketball player ever. He'll get you 40 and then do everything else to secure the victory. Not many players can muster up the energy to do all that for an entire playoff series. Forget for an entire playoff series. How about for an entire playoff run? He has the record for the most points in a single playoff run, which occurred in 1992. He has a total of 3 appearances in the top 12. He also has the highest points per game average for a playoff run, which occurred in 1986. He has a total of 3 appearances in the top 10. It's no wonder that Jordan won as many times as he did. When you're that good on the biggest stage, your team is going to have a great chance of winning it all. Contrary to what LeBron believes, this goes hand in hand. It's not a coincidence that the best player of all time is also the greatest of all time. But what about you all? Do you think there's a difference between the best and the greatest? Does Michael Jordan deserve both titles? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.